Which engine in the F-150 is the most reliable? We'll take a look at the three most common options, the 3.5, 2.7, and 5.0, and take a look at the most common problems. Stay to the end to see which is the most likely to last the longest without trouble. Plus, we'll discuss the one single factor contributing to engine longevity. The 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6 in the F-150 is generally a solid engine, but like any complex power plant, it has a few common issues that owners should be aware of. One of the biggest concerns is turbocharger failure, which can happen over time, especially if oil changes aren't done regularly. Since the turbos rely on proper lubrication to function smoothly, neglecting maintenance can lead to excessive wear. Signs of a failing turbo include a noticeable drop in power, whistling or whining noises, and increased exhaust smoke. Another frequent issue in earlier 3.5 engines is carbon buildup on the intake valves, which is common in direct injection engines. Because fuel doesn't wash over the valves like in a traditional port injection system, gunk can accumulate over time, leading to rough idling, sluggish acceleration, and overall performance loss. In most cases, replacing the spark plugs and boots will resolve the issues. Changing them every 40,000 miles or so is a good idea, even though it's pretty frequent. Cam phaser issues are also pretty common, especially in the earlier versions of the EcoBoost engine. One of the main problems is that the tensioners wear out over time, causing a rattling noise when you start the engine, usually lasting for a few seconds. Over time, it can lead to more wear on the engine, but it's not a major issue, more of an annoying one, especially in the short term. However, it is a pretty expensive repair, so it's something to keep in mind. Water pump failures are another potential headache, sometimes leading to overheating if the pump or its gasket starts leaking. A slow coolant leak might not seem like a big deal at first, but if it goes unnoticed, it can cause serious engine trouble. Overheating can do some real damage, like warping engine parts or even leading to a total breakdown. That's why it's a good idea to keep an eye on your engine temperature and watch for signs of a coolant leak, like puddles under the truck or a sudden drop in coolant levels. Finally, oil leaks are something to watch out for, particularly from the oil cooler and various gaskets, most commonly the gasket on the plastic oil pan. While not a major issue in most cases, an unnoticed leak can lead to low oil levels, which can obviously threaten any engine. It's a smart idea to have a mechanic inspect the engine regularly, or to do a thorough check yourself to spot any oil leaks early on. Depending on where the leaks are, repairs can get pretty expensive. The 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6 in the F-150 is known for delivering a great balance of power and efficiency, but like any engine, it does have a few common issues that owners need to be aware of. One of the most reported problems before 2018 is carbon buildup on the intake valves, similar to the 3.5, which is a common downside of direct injection engines. Again, since fuel doesn't pass over the intake valves to clean them, carbon deposits can form over time, leading to rough idle, sluggish acceleration, and reduced efficiency. Some later versions of the 2.7 EcoBoost feature both direct and port injection, which helps reduce the issue, but earlier models, like pre-2018, can still experience buildup. The 2021 and 2022 F-150s with the 2.7-liter engine had a major issue where the intake valves would crack and fall into the combustion chamber, causing serious damage. It turns out the material used by the valve supplier wasn't up to par, but Ford fixed it by making the valve stronger, starting with models built after October 31st, 2021. The affected engines were recalled and the problems should be resolved. Another issue some owners face is oil pan leaks due to the engine's original plastic oil pan design, same as the 3.5. Early versions of the 2.7 EcoBoost used a composite or plastic oil pan, which had a tendency to develop leaks over time. Ford later switched to an aluminum oil pan to fix this problem, but if you're driving an older model, it's worth checking for leaks and considering an upgrade. Turbocharger problems can pop up too, though they're not as common as with the 3.5. Turbocharged engines have more parts than naturally aspirated ones, and the turbos spin at crazy high speeds. This creates a lot of heat, messes with the oil, and wears it out faster. Because of this, turbo failures can definitely happen over time. They do usually wear out before the engine, so it's kind of considered a maintenance item, and they sure are pricey to replace. Another potential weak spot is the timing chain system, though it's not as widespread as in the 3.5. Some first-generation, high-mileage 2.7-liter engines have experienced timing chain wear, leading to rattling noises, especially on startup. If the chain stretches too much, it can cause performance issues or even serious engine damage. Regular oil changes and using high-quality oil helps minimize the risk. Lastly, some owners have reported electronic throttle body failures, which can cause sudden loss of power or put the truck into limp mode. This is typically due to carbon buildup inside the throttle body. If you experience unexpected stalling or hesitation, cleaning or inspecting the throttle body might be necessary. Overall, the 2.7-liter EcoBoost is a solid and efficient engine, offering a lot of power for everyday driving and light towing, while still maintaining good fuel economy. While it does have a few known issues, most of them can be avoided if you keep an eye on things. Keeping up with oil changes, checking for leaks, and addressing small problems before they worsen will help ensure this engine stays reliable for a long time. The 5-liter Coyote V8 in the F-150 is known for its durability and strong performance, but like any engine, it does have some common issues that owners should keep in mind. One of the most frequently reported problems is excessive oil consumption, especially in 2018 and newer models. Some trucks burn more oil than expected, sometimes as much as a quart every 1,000 or 2,000 miles. The issue is believed to stem from piston ring design and PCV system changes. While it doesn't necessarily mean the engine is failing, running low on oil can cause long-term damage if not kept an eye on. Regularly checking the oil and using high-quality oil can help mitigate the problem. Another common issue is valve train noise, especially a ticking or knocking sound at idle or under acceleration. Some owners report this as Coyote tick, which is common in many 5-liter engines, including those in the Mustang. While the noise itself doesn't always indicate a mechanical problem, in some cases it can be related to worn lifters, cam phasers, or low oil pressure. It's worth having a mechanic check it out if the ticking gets louder over time, or is it accompanied by performance issues. The oil pump belt is another weak point, especially in the 2018 and after Gen 3 5-liter engines. Unlike traditional chain-driven pumps, this one uses a belt inside the engine which can wear out over time. While failures aren't widespread, replacing the belt requires significant labor since it's inside the engine, making it a costly repair if it does ever go bad. Exhaust manifolds warping or cracking is another issue some owners have encountered. Over time, the constant heating and cooling cycles can cause the exhaust manifolds to warp, leading to leaks and a noticeable ticking noise on startup. If left unchecked, this can affect engine efficiency and even damage nearby components. Upgrading to aftermarket manifolds or replacing worn-out gaskets can fix the problem. Finally, cam phaser issues have been reported, though they seem to be less frequent than in Ford's EcoBoost engines. You'll know if they're bad if the engine rattles for a few seconds when it starts up. It's a pricey repair, so you want to avoid the most problematic years if possible. Despite these issues, the 5-liter Coyote is still considered one of the most reliable F-150 engines, especially for those who prefer a naturally aspirated V8 with fewer moving parts than a turbocharged engine. While it might not have the low-end torque of the EcoBoost options, its simpler design, strong aftermarket support, and proven durability make it a great choice for truck owners who value longevity. Ford mechanics were asked which engine they like best, and almost every time, the answer was the 5-liter V8. They love it for its simple design, solid reliability, smooth power delivery, and all-around good performance. A lot of them also say it's easier to work on compared to more complicated turbocharged or smaller engines, which makes it a go-to favorite for those who appreciate durability and hassle-free maintenance. Regular oil changes and maintenance are critically important to keep any engine running smoothly and lasting longer. For turbocharged engines, though, you'll need to change the oil more often because they generate a lot more heat. The turbos spin at ridiculously high speeds, and there's extra strain on the engine overall. Keeping up with regular oil changes is honestly the best way to make sure these engines stay in good shape and last longer. If you skip out on the maintenance, you'll likely run into bigger problems down the road, and they could end up costing you a lot more to fix. While there have been a few issues with the F-150 engines over the years, Ford has done a pretty good job of fixing those problems and preventing them from happening again. It's not like they've been cranking out faulty V8s for the last 20 years or anything. Because of this, earlier models had more issues, but most of those have been addressed over time, which is something you like to see from any brand. This is an overview of the most common problems. That does not mean they're a problem with every truck. Problems vary from year to year, so you should check out the most common problems for the age range you're considering. If you're looking for the most reliable F-150 engine, the 5-liter V8 is probably your best choice. It's under less stress compared to the turbocharged options. It has a simpler design, and it doesn't come with as many complicated parts as the EcoBoost engine. This makes it a solid option for long-term durability. With that said, all the engine choices in the F-150 are reliable in their own right, each with its own set of pros and cons. None of them have any major, widespread issues, so it really comes down to your personal preference and needs. Just keep an eye out for the common problems and stay on top of all maintenance.